Hello, everybody. How are we doing? Welcome to another special guest live stream. My name is Rob, and Happy New Year. I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these, and I am pleased to welcome today's guest. I'll read a quick little blurb here. Christy Lemire, I hope I'm saying that right, has been a film critic since 1999, and her YouTube channel on movie reviews, Breakfast All Day Movie Reviews, now has over 33,000 subscribers and 10.5 million views. She's also one of the main movie critics for RogerEbert.com. From Los Angeles, I believe. I hope I didn't get that wrong. Please welcome Christy Lemire. Hello, Christy.
Good
How
to
are
see.
you?
Hi, good to see you. Thank you so much. Yes, you said my name right. Thank you. My French Canadian last name. I appreciate that. I am just outside of LA. I'm from LA originally, but now I live in a place called Palos Verdes, which is like just south of LA. I'm sort of like the absolute diagonal opposite of North America from you. I'm like in the farthest southwestern corner of North America, and you are
Right.
in the farthest northeastern. So
Yes. Awesome. Well, that's great. Actually, in June, my son and I are going to be traveling to Anaheim, which I think is fairly close uh, to Los Angeles. There's a conference down there, but yeah, it takes a long time to get there. We have to go through Toronto, and then yeah, it's most of a day affair.
amazing. Well, welcome. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for agreeing to come on. This is great. I've been doing these for, I think year number five, about the fifth one I've done. Kind of turned these into a podcast. And the whole point of this is to bring people on who are having some success with YouTube to try to help the people who typically watch my videos and my live streams and to try to help them along and maybe help answer some of their questions. Maybe we can start with you just kind of introducing yourself and telling us a bit of about who you are and what you do.
So, Christy Lemire, I am a longtime film critic. I've been doing it since 1999. I was with the Associated Press for a long time. I was the first full-time critic at the Associated Press. They had random people doing film reviews here and there, but I did it full time for like 15 years. Left in 2013. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. My son is 15 years old. He's a freshman in high school, and I left there because my job there was changing. They kind of realized over time they didn't want a full-time film critic, and I kept wanting to do that, so I sort of took the leap and left, and have been sort of putting it together ever since. But one of the main jobs I have done is on YouTube. Prior to the channel that we have now, I was a co-host of a channel called What the Flick, which still
Oh,
exists. It it was part of a whole network of channels. If you know who the Young Turks is, that channel. It's a progressive political channel, and Cenk, who started it, spun off all these other channels that he wanted to do, a whole network, a whole empire of channels. And the first one he created was What the Flick, because he wanted a place to share his terrible opinions on movies. And so I co-hosted that, and that was from like 2010 to 2018. And heading into the midterm elections here in the US in 2018, they paired off all their channels. They just canceled all of them. They wanted to focus on politics. So they had like a sports channel and a pop culture channel, and they had us. So that was on a Monday in August. We went to the studio and they said, "Oh, sorry, we're not doing this anymore," after like 8.5 years. And there were like four of us. Like I had full makeup on, like ready to go. That was on a Monday. The following Thursday, 3 days later, we were at my dining room table doing it as a podcast at the exact table where I'm sitting now with the exact equipment I'm talking to you on now. We did it as a podcast, and we had no idea what we were doing. So I totally sympathize with anybody who is just starting this, because you hear this piece of advice a lot in YouTube, in podcasts, like start before you're ready. And this is, I think, true if you're going to have a baby as well. Like there's never a perfect time. I know, Rob, you're a parent too. Like there's never a perfect time to have a kid. And so we didn't really know what we were doing. And so you look at those early videos, is we went from a studio with like HD cameras and lighting and like nice lav mics to sitting around my dining room table with just natural lighting and no clue what we were doing. This mic that I'm on right now, like I didn't realize you're supposed to talk into it sideways. Like we had turned them
Okay.
all to talk into the top of them. And then thankfully one of our very kind viewers was like, I think you've got the mic turned wrong. We realized, oh, that's why it sounds like we're all in a bathtub. So things like that. We didn't know.
Yeah.
We would meet. I'm rambling here. I apologize for that, but there's a lot of
No,
different
no, go on.
components to
That's
this.
fine.
There were four of us in the beginning. It was me, Alonzo Duralde, who's a longtime film critic as well, a guy named Matt Atchity, who used to be the editor in chief of Rotten Tomatoes, and then Ben Mankiewicz, who is a longtime friend of ours. He is a longtime host of Turner Classic Movies. And the four of us worked really well together, and we had really different opinions and different backgrounds and different tastes. And so the four of us together were great and it was fun. We wanted to keep that going. And over time, just different commitments, the pandemic, I moved to a different part of LA. It's now just two of us. It's me and Alonzo. And we have built Breakfast All Day into what it is now. It began as a little podcast that I was posting just to my website, ChristyLemire.com. And then in time, we've added the YouTube component and a Patreon. We do a lot of different things to monetize and connect with our audience, which I'm happy to tell you about as we go along here. But
Okay.
we post Tuesdays and Fridays. We post film reviews every Tuesday and Friday. I think consistency is really important. We go live every Friday and we do a movie news live stream. Later on today at noon Pacific, we're doing a Golden Globes live stream just to react to the Golden Globes from last night. We'll do an
Right.
Oscar nomination live stream on January 17th when that happens. So we're always trying to find different ways to connect with our audience.
Wow, that's fantastic. I must admit I don't know a whole lot about the whole industry, movie critics and whatnot. I love to watch movies,
Uh-huh.
but yeah. So it sounds like you started as a podcast, and then moved into YouTube, and now you're doing YouTube and live streams. What I guess what do you spend most of your time on? Like what? I guess put another way, what is your bottleneck? Do you have a hard time with the video editing? Do you get somebody else to do that? Or tell me a little bit about that.
So I edit our videos.
Okay.
We get a lot of emails, as I'm sure you do, as I'm sure a lot of folks in your audience do, as they are building their brands. People saying like, "Oh, I love your channel, but it could be so much better. Let me do thumbnails for you, or let me
Yes.
do editing for you." And it's very clear that they don't have any clue who we are because
Yeah.
they'll say like, "We love your content on TikTok," and like we're not on TikTok. And
Yeah.
so a couple of reasons I don't do it. It seems totally impersonal, and I don't trust people to do it. But also
Yeah.
I kind of like to have the hands-on quality of it. So we
Okay.
meet now in Riverside and we record in Riverside. It looks a lot like what you and I are doing here right now and in the platform that you're using.
Yeah.
And you're in what? You're in
Ecam live.
StreamYard? Ecamm. So,
Yeah.
so it looks a lot like this. And then I take those videos and I take that audio and I put the videos out and I put the podcast out. So
Okay.
I do all the production. Alonzo has many other jobs and he doesn't want to learn how to do it, which is fine because the control freak Virgo type A person in me, I actually really enjoy it. I think I'm pretty good at it and I keep it pretty simple. So I will just like, so let's say we do a review of The Brutalist, for example. That was a big winner last night at the Golden Globes. I will take a piece of trailer and I'll put sound in at the beginning, like just drop it, like do a quick intro, quick piece of sound, and then it's our conversation. But I will overlay pieces of video that maybe illustrate what we're talking about. Like if there's a particular
Okay.
camera movement or a particular shot, or we're talking about a certain character, I will cut in video that shows what we're talking about. I have downloaded the video, and I get dinged sometimes. I don't know if this happens to you at all or any of your videos, but like I'll get dinged sometimes for copyright,
Hmm.
which I hate YouTube for, you know. Like, is there somebody at Universal Studios who is actually going through like every single video to see if you're using your video? Anyway, I fight it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
So we meet on Fridays. It takes me about an hour to edit a video and post it. Sometimes I'll just let it run full with no video at all,
Okay.
depending on what the video is. But if it's something that I know people are going to be really interested in, like we know our audience really well, we know what
Okay.
kinds of movies they really, really care about. And so I'll
Yeah.
take a little bit more time with those, like A Complete Unknown, like Baby Girl, like Nosferatu. Those all came out on Christmas Day. Those have all been huge for us.
Okay.
So that is, I think, the most time consuming thing is editing the videos. And then I tend to get a little obsessive with analytics and I tend to keep an
Okay.
eye on the numbers and like if the thumbnail maybe isn't responding the way I want it to, I might tweak the thumbnail. I don't know if you do
Okay.
A/B thumbnail testing, but I sometimes
Sometimes I
do.
have. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
Okay.
that is really the main thing. And then just like, watching the movies takes time, especially this
Of
time of
course.
year
Yeah.
when everything is a potential awards contender. It's all 2.5 hours long and very important. I think watching the movies, getting to the theater. Oh, hey, Teddy KGB is here. Teddy is one of our really loyal, longtime folks. So part of what I'm really proud of is we really know our people. So I see Teddy in the comments. He's got a question. Can I
Very
answer his
good. And
question?
yeah, absolutely. I can pop it up on screen. There we go. Hi, Teddy.
Hi, Teddy. Teddy's one of our patrons too. We have a Patreon as well. Besides the YouTube, we do TV recaps on our Patreon. We're starting Squid Game season 2 this week.
Okay.
We do, a lot of different shows. We like Shogun, we did Ripley, Only Murders in the Building. Teddy says, "Do you, Alonzo, have ambitions for breakfast all day beyond growing your audience on YouTube and Patreon, or do you not have time for anything else?" I kinda just love what we're doing. I don't know, Teddy, what you mean by like ambitions beyond it. What kind of ambitions do you think we should have? I don't know.
Good question. I
Yeah,
have to
I'm
say
not
though,
sure. I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have to say, I love Teddy's icon there. Detroit Lion fan. That's awesome.
Yes,
As am
yes, he's
I.
up in Michigan. He's in Michigan. So oh, Mustang 774 says Rob, the sound seems off today compared to previous shows.
Oh,
Kind of muddy, not real clear. Is that me, Mustang, or is that Rob?
good question. I don't think I've done anything different, but that's not to say I didn't do something wrong here or or hit a button or something. But yeah, I'll look into that. I'm not sure there's much I can do. Can anybody else kind of confirm or confirm that for us? Let us know how we sound. Men's
Men's
Dating
Dating
Club
Hub
Hub.
says we sound fine.
Okay. Maybe it's on your end, Mustang. Not too sure. But yes, Christy, you were mentioning about the copyright issue, and I actually get a lot of questions along those lines. And I personally don't use copyrighted material. I feel like you have to with what you do. If you're reviewing movies, you're going to have some movie clips in your videos. But I try to stay away from that just because I just don't want to get into it. But I do get the question, what do you do when you do get a copyright strike? So how do you handle that?
So I dispute it. I always dispute it because my argument
Okay.
is the studios put the trailers out for the purpose of promoting their films. They
Yeah.
will send us their trailers and say, hey, please share this with your audience. So my argument always is like, it's fair use, it's out there. They want us to use it. We are doing exactly what their express purpose was for putting out a trailer to promote their film. And sometimes they'll come back and say, nope, sorry. or sometimes, or sometimes I will go in and maybe like into the editor once it's already been posted. I'll trim a teensy bit of it. One thing I learned from my friend Dan Murrell, I've learned so much from various other people on YouTube who do what we do, who have had enormous success. Dan Murrell is one, Christian Harloff is another. They are both film review channels.
Okay.
Dan told me if you keep the video to 8 seconds or under, that the algorithm will usually not catch it. It's like when you
Okay.
get greedy, when you get
Yeah.
greedy and have like sound full for like 8 seconds or more. And so even when I'm like dropping in little pieces of video to illustrate what we're talking about, I will keep them short. I'll keep them under 8 seconds. And so
Okay. That's
anyway,
interesting.
that's
And
my
is it
trick.
just sorry, is it just the audio, or do you also have to worry about the video side of it? Does the YouTube algorithm catch the video only? Like if the audio is muted, would that help you from getting caught?
They sometimes catch both. I've gotten dinged on
Okay.
both. I mean, I know some
Okay.
people, and Rob is one. The guys at Fish Jelly, not Rob. I'm sorry, I'm looking at your name. Dan Murrell is one, and then the
Yeah.
guys at Fish Jelly Film Reviews will just put photo stills instead of video to illustrate
Okay.
what they're talking about. And then I don't know what their situation is with getting dinged, but that seems safer. It's the
Yeah.
video. It's like that they don't want you monetizing their video. So if you can be sneaky about it, I recommend
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, very good. I'm always interested to know because I mean I've seen videos where people are using little clips, and I'm a bit of a sports fan, so I'll see like somebody will review like a game that was played the other night, but I see it looks like they're altering it some way, whether they're zooming in or tilting it, or I don't know. I don't know if these are tricks that work, or whatnot. But when you do. So if it does work, if you fight it and then they allow it, does that mean they allow you to still monetize the video, or like how does that work?
Right, they do. Yes. So what happens is
Okay.
whatever AdSense money you might have accrued in that time of the dispute, they hold it in escrow.
Okay.
And so it's sitting there and eventually you get it.
Okay.
So it doesn't happen very often, but I find
Hmm.
that like with certain studios, like Warner Brothers is really bad about it.
Okay.
Universal is really bad about it. But smaller ones like A24, Neon, like IFC, they're reasonable. Or
Okay.
maybe they don't have the infrastructure in place to go and scour YouTube. Maybe that's what it is. But I have found that the big studios are the ones that are usually the ones that are jerks about it.
Okay. So then I guess the process is YouTube has the algorithms that will catch these, and then do they present them to the studios, and then the studios decide whether or not to allow it or not?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure who catches it.
Okay.
But YouTube is the one that flags you for copyright violation, and then when you
Right.
go into the explanation, it will say like it's this piece of video from a minute 57 to 2:06 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They will tell you the specific piece of video that they are dinging you for, and they will give you options like you
Yeah.
could take that out, you could trim
Yeah.
it. And so I've sometimes trimmed it and seen it sail through just fine. One of our longtime, also one of our channel members is here, Angel Senya from Spain. Buenos dias a nuestro amigo Angel. Here it says here to vouch for Christy and Alonso's awesome job. Join us later today if you love movies. Yes, join us at noon Pacific for our Golden Globe talk. Muchas gracias, Angel.
There you go. I don't know half of what you just said, but I got the
I
gist of
said
it.
thanks a lot in Spanish.
There you go. Merci beaucoup in French. Uh,
Merci. For our Quebecois friends. You're not in Quebec though, right? What
I am
province are
not.
you
No,
in?
no. But having gone to school in Canada, we all had to take French classes, so I might know a little bit. Enough to
Yep.
get by.
Yep. Cool.
Let me just scan through to see what else we have here in the sound. Sounds good. Oh, Alan Reed says, doesn't sound like Rob is on his normal mic or too far away. No, no, maybe I am doing something different. I don't know, but it is the same mic. I have one mic. It's a shotgun mic. It's not a podcast mic like what you have, Christy. And I do move it. It's here now, but when I film, I don't know if you can see, but behind me is usually where I film, sitting in a chair, and I will take this mic out and I'll set it up over there. So, but I think it's around the same distance away, but who knows? I don't know. But it's interesting what you said. Like when you first started, you had a mic and you weren't using it properly, and I guess one of your viewers let you know that. But you were doing fine at the time. People were listening to you, watching you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were. And I know there's the debate about what's more important. Is the audio quality more important or the video quality more important? And I
Yeah.
do think it's the audio quality because people can maybe forgive if the video doesn't look 100% amazing. But if there's something annoying with the audio, it's too alienating and too frustrating, and they will tune away. And I find that a lot of people will also weirdly watch our videos on their actual television, which is
Right.
terrifying to me because it's like, you can count all the pores. And so that happens, or people will use it as like a podcast to listen to when they walk around. So the audio is more important than the video. And I've had the same mic for a while. And sometimes people will say to me, like, oh, it's like clicking or popping. And what I just always try to do beforehand is like double check every connection, like make sure they're all secure, make sure that everything is plugged into everything correctly, make sure that all of the cords are being like strung out and not twisted or kinked up. Andy says the audio is coming from your AirPods.
Yes, I just popped that up there because can everybody, do I sound better? I just
I
made a
think
little switch.
so.
Okay,
I think
good.
so. It sounds richer.
There we go. So, yes. So, yeah, I was coming through on the iPods or the AirPods. Now I'm using my mic. My bad.
Nice.
I saw it up here in Ecamm and I just had to make the switch. Yeah, here we go. A little rough around the edges, but we're getting through it, right?
It happens. You know what? And I
Yeah.
think, you know what? Part of why I love your channel, Rob, is because you are totally authentic and because you're not trying to be perfect. And I think that we respond to that as viewers, like we're all trying to figure it out. I
Yeah.
have done some form of television or whatever for like nearly 40 years, and
Yeah.
I'm comfortable on camera, but there are some things that elude me all the time, or I'm in the wrong setting. And so I appreciate that you are authentic and honest about how we make mistakes sometimes, and other people seem to make it look glossy and perfect, and they've got a team behind them to zhuzh it up. And I think
Yeah.
you're just you, right? We're just
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's, I try to tell I mean, if I didn't do it the way I do it now, I wouldn't be able to do it because I am not a pro. I don't have a TV background or video background or any of that. I'm just interested in all this stuff. And I just started, looking into it a few years ago. So yeah, I make mistakes and I try to tell people it's okay. I mean, my channel here, I had 3,000-ish subscribers 6 months ago, and I've grown to what I've grown to just lately. And it's, people don't mind mistakes. And I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, I feel like if you're upfront with, own your faults, I guess, or your mistakes, or just come clean with what you know and what you're struggling with, people will be able to relate to you better. So I find that works, and yeah, I guess it worked for you in the very beginning too with your mic.
Yeah, I think people for the most part mean well. And one thing I'm really, really proud of with our community is that we've got really nice folks, as you see from the people who have chimed in the comments here. Um,
Yeah,
I feel like we really know our community, and I feel like they are friends. And I am really proud of having cultivated a civilized and thoughtful and like decent hearted comment section, which is not always the case in
yeah,
YouTube or anywhere on the internet, as I'm sure you have found. The
yeah.
people who come to us, like we don't have a giant audience, and it's taken us 6 years to get to the point that you've gotten to in 6 months.
Mm,
But there are channels who are giant, who have hundreds of thousands of people, and that would be awesome. I would love to get there, but
yeah.
I feel like we know our people, and it seems like you do too. And so I think like setting the tone for a decent comment section is something I'm really proud of.
Absolutely. No, that's great. And I just want to acknowledge Todd Moore here. Thank you, Todd, for the super chat. And he says, thank you for uplifting inspiration for the over 40 market that encourages me to offer my variations starting by the end of January. Okay, cool. So you're about to get started, Todd, by the end of January. Best of luck to you. Have fun with it, I like to say. And yeah, you mentioned, Christy, the comments section. That holds a lot of people back. And I wasn't, I shouldn't say I wasn't ready for it. I didn't experience a whole lot of negative comments when I first started, but they started to, I mean, the more successful my videos got, the more negative comments I got. Now, it's a very small percentage, But yeah, I was like, why do people even, spend the time doing that? And I just came to the realization that some people, that's just the way they are. And I try to tell others who are worried about getting comments like that, that it really, try not. It's not your fault. It's the fault of the person who's posting it, and there's really nothing you can do about them. And they're likely not going to stick around and be your subscriber anyways. So just try to not let it bother you. The problem is theirs; it's not yours. And yeah, I guess. But I guess the reality is, what I'm trying to say is, the reality is, I guess we have to have some thick skin sometimes, to deal with comments like that.
So I have a lot of thoughts about this. I
Okay.
think quite often when people are really hurtful and mean, um, I don't like to give it any oxygen.
Yeah.
I don't like to give it any energy. I don't acknowledge it. If it's like homophobic or really, really cruel. My co-host Alonzo is gay. And so if it's a lot of like, horrible homophobic slurs, like there's just no room for that. I
Yeah.
won't tolerate it. I won't tolerate any kind of like hateful commentary. But sometimes I like to win people over with kindness. Sometimes
Okay.
I will respond to them like, thanks so much for taking the time to watch our video, appreciate your perspective. And they're shocked that I have responded. They're shocked that they didn't just shout into the ether. They're shocked that a human being received it and responded. And then quite often people will say, love your channel, have watched you for so long. Thank you for responding. So
Right.
so I kind of like to convert people one at a time
Yeah.
if it seems like it's worthwhile and just to have an actual human connection. But, if they're insulting me, calling me a dumb blonde, whatever, there's no time for that. That's personal, and that's their problem. That this is how they derive their sense of self-worth, and that's how they choose to spend their time.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And I think I do the same thing you do without even really realizing it. Like I tell people you've got options, right? If you really can't handle negative comments, you can delete them. You can block that person from ever commenting again. And then nobody else would see it. They think they're still posting, but nobody else can see what they're posting. But yeah, I do the same thing. If it's just, if they're being mean, or like you say, with kindness, um, I try to respond positively and friendly and put a smile at the end. And you're right. More often than not, they kind of turn completely around, and they might say something like, "Oh, well, I didn't really mean blah 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 blah," right? Um, yeah, but yeah, I do. I mean, I do a mix. Some I just delete if they're obviously, not there for, if they're being hateful or anything like that. I'll just delete them or block them. But the funny thing is too, what some people don't realize is even negative comments count as comments and might actually boost your video, right? And
That's
in the
true. They're being
analytics.
inadvertently helpful. Yeah,
That's
good for
right.
them.
Yeah.
Todd Moore says, at our stage of life, who cares what the trolls think? Yeah, that's a good point too. I think we're human beings, and it's hard not to sometimes be shaken up when someone says something really mean and personal. But it says more about them than it does about us. Yeah, there's one guy who was like every single video without fail would comment the same thing, would say the exact same thing over and over again. And I just thought, how sad. Like this is how you choose to spend your life. Like that's really sad. So.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. Um, Teddy says, what software do the two of you use to rip existing video and edit your content? So yeah, Christy, why don't you want to answer that first?
Oh, so there is a thing called 4K video downloader. That's how I download the trailers that I use. And then as far as editing, I just use iMovie. I just use iMovie in my laptop.
Okay.
I know some people like more elaborate video software, but for our purposes, we're not doing anything terribly high tech. It's just us talking. And so that's what I use. What about you?
Same thing, 4K video downloader. I found that several years ago. But I don't typically put a lot of other videos in my videos, but when I do, I'll use that. Or I'll just use a screen capture and I'll record playing a video, right? Or I'll record, I'll play a YouTube video, and if I just want to grab a little section of it, I'll record my screen capturing that.
Hmm.
And that software is built right into the Mac. I don't even know. It's part of the Mac OS, I believe. But no, 4K
Yeah.
Video Downloader is, I've used that many times over the years. Very
Yeah. I
good.
don't know how it works, but it works.
Yeah, yeah, no, it works. Um, Tefel Dude, I hope I'm saying that right. He asks, is this being streamed through OBS? No, it's not. I have used OBS before. This is being streamed through, I'm using Ecamm Live on my MacBook, and then that's connected to YouTube, and I'm streaming it that way. And I believe, Christy, you mentioned Riverside you use when you stream?
Right. So we were using Zoom before, and then
Okay.
I learned about Riverside because you can record in 1080p and it makes it easier to cut YouTube shorts and Instagram reels, which we can talk about. I have not had massive success with shorts.
Uh-huh.
I have not yet had one that like has popped off and it's millions of people watching it. So I do them sometimes, but yeah, I like Riverside because you can it gives you a transcript so you can edit pretty easily like
Okay,
okay,
yeah.
I know we started at this point, I can trim all this stuff away, or if there's a word I'm looking for, like if Alonzo totally cracked me up or there was a really good point that he made, I can search for that word and then trim that part out, and then I know okay, this is under 59 seconds. And so it's the right thing. Although now I guess YouTube Shorts is expanding to 3 minutes, which seems
Yeah.
weird. It's not really short at the point. Have you done a long short yet? I have not.
I have not, no. I've done shorts. The last time I did shorts, I used a program called Opus Clip that automatically created shorts from a long form video and then added captions and whatnot. And I did that, a few months ago. But my thinking at the time was to create shorts that were basically little mini advertisements of the long form video I already made, and then to try to
Hmm.
get new audiences from TikTok, Reels, Shorts. Those are the three places that I would put them. But my thinking on that has changed a little bit since. I feel like the audience is completely different. The people who are watching
Hmm.
shorts aren't necessarily interested in long form video. I mean, sure, there's some overlap, but I'm finding, anyways, that it's just two totally different games. And I'm choosing to focus on this game, the long form video,
Yeah.
and not so much the shorts.
Yeah, I agree. They haven't been that successful for me. They don't make a lot of money. They make literal pennies.
Yeah.
Like it's not worth it to me. But sometimes, again, if it was like something really provocative or really funny and it's like an easy thing to go zip, zip, zip and cut it out and post it, I will do it. But I'm not that consistent with it at all. So I need to.
Yeah.
One thing I was gonna do while I was on vacation with my husband and son, we were in the mountains skiing. I still can't ski because I'm recovering from knee surgery. I was like, I'm
Oh.
gonna cut a YouTube short every day, and I didn't do that. So that's that. But you know what, though? I took time to actually relax, which is unusual for me. I have a really hard time detaching from work. This is something else we could talk about. Like,
Yeah.
how do you balance, since it's your own business? Like, there's no 9 to 5. And how do you balance like feeding the beast and being consistent, but also not driving yourself crazy? How do you do that? What is your schedule like? We have a question here from somebody actually too, Retire and Wander, saying, how often would you recommend a newbie posting weekly, every other day, etc.? I mean, how do you do it? How do you find the balance?
I've experimented with several different things. I feel like I think it depends. It really depends. What I like to tell people is post as often as you can comfortably and as you can maintain. So, like, I don't think it's necessarily good to pump out 5 videos in a week if you can't do that every week. Like, if that's not
Hmm.
your regular schedule. So for me, I typically aim for maybe 2 videos a week plus. I do a live stream every Tuesday, and then these special guest live streams on the odd Monday. Not every Monday, but so yeah, that's I mean that's 3 to 4, sometimes 5 pieces of content in a week. But I don't have a set schedule. Whereas I think you do, your schedule is more set. Is that right?
Right. We post every Tuesday and Friday. And so what ends up happening
Okay.
quite often is we call our Art House Tuesdays, where it's something smaller that we want to get ahead of. But part of what I love about our channel is that we do a lot of art house film, documentaries, international films. A lot of channels just do the big blockbusters, the big Marvel, whatever,
Yeah.
spectaculars, or they'll do horror movies. We kind of do it all, and we kind of come at it from a perspective of being really knowledgeable and really experienced. So
Okay.
Tuesdays are our Art House Tuesdays quite frequently, and then Fridays we do a live stream. We do a movie news live stream, and that's evolved over the years too. And movie news originated from COVID. Like
Okay.
we in the beginning when we used to meet in person. And then we were all scattered, and the news segment began as, okay, this thing's been canceled. Okay, that thing's been canceled. Okay, this film festival has been moved. Okay, this, big movie on the calendar has been bumped indefinitely. Whatever it is. And so it began as a response to like, how is the industry responding to the pandemic? And then we just kept it going. And so we now do it as a live stream, and that's been so much fun and a great way to interact with our people because it kind of feels like a water cooler. We're all so scattered. People work from home so much more now, especially post pandemic. So this kind of feels like a central place to talk about, like, oh my God, did you see what so and so was wearing at the Golden Globes? Or, oh my God, have you seen the latest in this Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni fiasco? Like, people want to talk about it. So that's our Friday thing. And then Fridays we'll do whatever the big movie of the week is. So right now we're kind of in dumping ground time, but we're doing Better Man this week, which is this movie about this British singer Robbie Williams, but he's being played by a chimp. Like whatever the big movie is, we try and get to on our Fridays, but Tuesdays are the art house days.
Okay. Very good. That's cool. Got a question here from Barb McGavern. She says, "What are the most important things a new YouTuber should focus on in their first 6 months to build momentum, avoid burnout, and satisfy the algorithm to grow authentically with the audience?" That's a
That's a
mouthful. That's a
lot.
lot.
I would say pick one of those goals. You want to answer
Yeah, I
this
don't.
second, or do you want to go home?
Yeah, you go ahead if
Yeah.
you've got
I
some
think
thoughts on that.
consistency, yeah, I think consistency matters. And I think being kind to yourself in the beginning is important, as we were saying. It's going to get better as you go. Your first videos are going to suck. I think being consistent so people know when to expect something from you. So if in the beginning that looks like once every 2 weeks, do it. Like say, okay, my day is Friday. I'm going to always put things out on Friday, or my day is Wednesday, whatever it is. And then maybe you do it every Wednesday. And then, maybe once a week is good for you. I feel like consistency is the key, and consistency will also make you better at it. The more you do this, the more you look into a camera and talk, the more comfortable you will be doing it. Like, I've done this in some capacity for a really long time, so I always felt really comfortable with it. But I realized that's not the case for everyone, and people sometimes feel shy or they feel subconscious or whatever. There's a woman I follow named Jen Gottlieb who does a
Hmm.
lot of branding, social media stuff. She's an entrepreneur or whatever. But she does a thing every single morning where she puts on her makeup and goes live on Instagram and takes
Okay.
questions from people. And like that's how she got better, is by doing it every single day. And so she has her little phone set up next to her makeup mirror. And so you see her and you watch the process. Like she comes on with no makeup on, and by the end of the stream, she's got a full face of makeup on. And she's answered questions in the process. So I think whatever your version of that is that helps you feel comfortable all the time, that's what's going to get you consistent. And I think the consistency is the key.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. If I can add to that, what I think is super important when you're just starting out is to listen to your audience. Once you start getting viewers, try to interact with them. Sometimes I forget to do this, but it's a really good idea to get in the habit of, and like you say, the more often you do this, the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And that's to ask questions in your videos. Ask your audience what would they like to see from you next, or maybe specific questions about what you're making your video on, whatever you're talking about. Just get people to comment down below. I think that's super important because not only do you want to, get a conversation going in your comments, but I don't know about you, but I get a lot of video ideas from the comments. A lot of people will ask the same question over and over again, not from the same person, but different people will ask the same question. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe I should make a video about that. Or, so I find that's very helpful. If you can try to engage your audience, and that will, or what it's done for me, it's kind of shaped the direction that my channel has gone, based on, just following my audience. And if you listen well enough, they'll tell you what they want to hear from you. So that would be my main advice. But I also like the fact, consistency, like you say. Try to be consistent, and don't try to overreach. Like if you can't do a video every single day, then don't do that for a week and then nothing for a long time. If you can comfortably do just one a week, if that's all you can do comfortably, then stick with that. So I guess those are my thoughts, Barb. I hope that helps.
Yeah,
At
I love
least.
your idea about interacting with people because it is a relationship. And I think that's part of why
Yeah.
people come to us is because they feel a connection. And if we are connecting back with them in an authentic way, that's really meaningful. And that's something that I'm really proud of. I think pinning a question to the top of your video, I think
Hmm.
maybe you do that sometimes, is a
Yeah.
great way to get the idea for the next video. There's a woman named Dr. Romani who is a psychologist and she's an expert on narcissism. And this is how she has built this huge empire, is that she will take a question from the comments and make that the next video. And like then from there, a question leads to the next video, and everyone knows a narcissist. So she's got evergreen content. She did recaps of the last season of Succession from a perspective of being a narcissism expert, because they all are, because they're all awful people, but like with incredible writing. And so you want to watch versus being totally repelled by them. And then she came on my channel and we talked about the last episode, the series finale together. But that is, I think you're right, a great way to get ideas for content and for stuff that could be evergreen. We get ideas in a very easy way. We just follow the movie release schedule. We have tinkered with other kinds of videos and they don't work out so well for us. Like
Okay.
when the Batman came out a couple of years ago, the Robert Pattinson Batman, we did a whole thing like, who's the best Batman? And people didn't really respond to that. Or we had a friend of ours, Kyle Buchanan, wrote a book about the making of Mad Max Fury Road.
Hmm.
And we thought that's a movie that our audience would totally care about. And we talked to him for like 17 minutes, did not do well for us at all. So this brings me to my next little suggestion, which is don't be afraid to fail. Like, don't be afraid to
Yeah.
try different kinds of formats. And if it works, fantastic. You have stumbled onto something really cool that you should keep doing. If it doesn't work, no big deal. You did it and it's done. So that was my thinking with doing the news live streams on Friday. We used to just record a news segment and I would edit it and post it. But I thought, let's try and do it live. Like, let's see what happens. And it's been great. So I guess don't be afraid to fail. It would also be a piece of advice for you, Barb, and for everyone looking for how to do things. Try things out. If it doesn't work, who cares?
I love it. I love it. I love that. That's great. You said something that I had a question. Oh, this is completely off topic, but you mentioned Batman. Why so many Batman movies? Like, I remember Val Kilmer, and that was back in the day, and to me, that was Batman. And then are they redoing the story over and over and over again, or are they sequels, or I don't know, like, why are they so many? As a
So
movie critic,
Michael
maybe you
Keaton
know.
is my Batman. I'm 52 years old. Michael Keaton is my Batman.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think
Yes. Well, I'm older than you, so yes, of course. I forgot Michael Keaton. Yes.
he's sort of like the first James Bond that you saw is your James Bond, right? So like Roger
Yeah.
Moore is my James Bond.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Batman is that he's a regular guy. I mean, he's super wealthy. Bruce Wayne's super wealthy, but like he wasn't born on a different planet. He wasn't bitten by a radioactive spider. Bruce Wayne's a regular guy who took it upon himself to go fight crime in Gotham. And Gotham is a cesspool. There's massive wealth disparity. And so there's always going to be like desperation and stuff for him to do. Why are there so many Batmans? I think it's there are so many different ways to play it, and there's such
Okay.
an operatic quality to Batman. Like Spider-Man's a teenager and he's like happy-go-lucky usually, except for when he's played by Andrew Garfield. But like he's a kid but Batman can be brooding, he can be the dashing, philanthropist playboy.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when you see like really serious actors taking on Batman and the way that it has evolved over the years. Like it was jokey. It was Adam West in tights, like with
Yes.
wisecracks and the word like biff or zap on the
Yeah.
screen. Like Cesar Romero is the Joker. Like that was super, super jokey. And I think Christopher Nolan changed everything with The Dark Knight, and like that became an operatic trilogy. Yes, Todd Moore says it because Batman is the most mysterious of all the superheroes, right? Like the whole thing with Clark Kent, it's so dumb. I mean, he's just Superman with glasses on, you know. But the Batman could be anybody. And it draws really serious actors like Christian Bale, like Robert Pattinson. I loved the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman that came out a couple of years ago because it was just bold visually. I love that score. Just last night at the Golden Globes, Colin Farrell won for starring in The Penguin, which is the HBO
Right.
Max spin-off series from the Batman world. So it's intense. It's a lot. Yes, Jeremy, Michael Keaton is the best. I agree. But Freedom Wanderer says Adam West is the only Batman. So he contains multitudes.
This is fun. Yeah. I completely. I don't even know. I don't remember when the first Batman that I saw. I remember the cartoony ones from what was that? The late '60s, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
I was a kid in the '70s, but yeah, no, I just found it interesting that seems like they're redoing. Like they had one, two, three, and then no, wipe the slate clean. We're going to do it again. And I don't know. Like, was it a different director, maybe, or I don't know. But anyways, fun stuff.
And then
Well,
every time that we gotta see Bruce Wayne's parents die, we gotta see like the pearls being ripped from her neck and having them fall on the floor in front of the theater. So there is that consistent through line. No matter who plays Batman, Bruce Wayne's
yeah.
parents are dead.
I've seen the ads for the Penguin. I've not watched it, but yeah, Colin Farrell. It doesn't look anything like him. Like that's quite the suit he's got to get in. I guess every time they film.
3 hours, 3 hours of sitting in the chair to get all those prosthetics and all that makeup. Like, how do
Really?
you take incredibly beautiful Colin Farrell and turn him into that? And he was so funny last night at the Golden Globes when he won. He was like, "Yep, it's all me. I did it all by myself with no help at all." So he was totally charming as he always is, and he shouted out the woman with craft services who would bring him coconut water every 30 minutes to keep him hydrated inside the prosthetics. So, yeah, a lot of work went into that performance.
Wow, wow. I wonder how long their days have to be if it takes 3 hours to get into
Right?
that, and then presumably maybe not 3 hours to get out of it, but some time to get undressed.
Yep. Yep.
Teddy says studios have to keep making movies with characters they've purchased or they lose the rights. This explains all the terrible Sony Spider Man movies that don't have Spider Man in them.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah. Like Madam Web. I don't hate Madam Web the way everybody else does, but yeah, you got Morbius, Madam Web, three Venom movies. Yeah.
I was 4 years old in California when I saw the Batmobile, and I kept singing Batman until they put me into the Batmobile. I was the only one they let into the Batmobile.
Awesome.
Very good. So yeah, that was a bit of a segue into the movie world. But back to your YouTube channel. Just wondering, people might be interested to know what other ways besides YouTube AdSense do you take advantage of to monetize your channel and your YouTube
Yeah.
business? I guess.
Yeah, so we have a Patreon as well. Is
Right.
patreon.com/befastallday. And there we post The videos that you see on YouTube, but ad free. So that's a benefit of the Patreon. We do something called Off the Menu once a month where we'll put up a poll for our subscribers to vote in on a different topic. So whether it's like, Valentine's Day movies, or if somebody really legendary dies, like Jenna Rollins recently or Maggie Smith recently, Alonzo curates that and he'll pick like five movies in a certain theme and then a description of each one and where you can stream them and people vote. And so that's a fun thing that we do on our Patreon.
Okay.
We do TV recaps. So we did The Batman and we did Ripley and we're doing Squid Game season 2 starting this week. So the Patreon is one thing. So I think it is a thing that you can offer your viewers that is meaningful and worthwhile that they might be willing to pay for a subscription for. That might be a good way to go aside from just YouTube. Or if there's, a coaching service or like an extra kind of one-on-one thing you can do. Something that we do that I absolutely love, one of my absolute favorite things, is called Table for One.
Hmm.
This is totally separate from the Patreon, separate from the YouTube. People choose a movie they want to review with us. And so like they'll pick a movie, maybe it's a favorite film ever, or it's one that they think we got wrong and they want to debate us about it, or they want to stump us with something very obscure. We have people who have come back multiple times. We have a friend who is a Spanish teacher, a high school Spanish teacher in suburban Chicago, who likes to watch Spanish language films. And then so we all meet up in Riverside. It looks exactly like the videos you see on our channel. We do a quick little chat about it. It lasts like 20 minutes. And then I whip up the video and send it to them to keep. And so
Okay.
that costs a little bit of money. And
Hmm.
we take Venmo and PayPal, and we have return people. We have people who have given it as a birthday gift or an anniversary gift to the person that they
Oh,
love. So that's something that I love to do because it's so much fun. It's personal. It is, I think it's really unique to us and who we are. Like people meet us all the time and say, "Oh, I love movies. I love to talk about movies with you." Here's a way you can do that. So it's a great way to get to know our audience and what they care about. Um, so so Patreon and Table for One. The podcast we do is also called Breakfast All Day. It's on all the podcast platforms. We run ads on that.
hmm.
So that is helpful. And then we do some affiliate marketing here and there. We have a few brands that we have partnered with that we really love and we care about. Our viewers will know that we talk about Coffee Bros a lot. It's a couple of guys in New York and they do really fantastic coffee. So that's one. We do it through Impact. There are various affiliate marketing platforms. And a lot
Right.
of people like Amazon. I don't like Amazon because I don't want to give Jeff Bezos any of my money if I can avoid it. So I don't want to be a part of the Amazon affiliate platform, but that's of course the biggest. But Impact will pair you with brands that are a good fit with what you are doing. So we worked with Athletic Brewing Company for a while. I am an
Hmm.
ambassador for them. They do non-alcoholic beer. I've been sober for 7 years, so that's meaningful to me.
Hmm.
And so I work with them. Carol Bike, back in the back here, we have a Carol Bike. It is a stationary bike, kind of like Peloton. It's super high tech and easy to use and really fun and has cool music and like little iPad thing on the handlebars to give you all your stats. So Carol Bike is one. But that has not been huge for us. Yeah, there it
Uh-huh.
is. There's my bike. And I know that a lot of people do really, really well with affiliate marketing, but for us, between the YouTube AdSense and the Patreon, that those are even amounts as far as our income.
Okay. I was going to ask, because also I think a lot of people when they get into YouTube, if they've never done it and they're just thinking about getting into it now, and again, most of the people who watch my videos tend to be over 40 and maybe looking at doing something else after they've either retired from what they did before or maybe they've lost
Yeah.
their job and they want to try to do something else. Um, But I think a lot of people come into YouTube thinking that the only way to make money is through revenue share with YouTube. And what I'm finding is that tends to be a small chunk for a lot of companies or a lot of people who run YouTube businesses. they'll use YouTube almost as a like a lead source, or like a place to
Yeah.
maybe find new customers, to send them to whatever it is they're really doing. You know what I mean? And then they would use YouTube AdSense as almost a like a bonus or a nicety, but not everybody. And it sounds like you're making a good percentage of what you do from AdSense. But I've also seen the other way, where AdSense is a smaller percentage. So I guess it depends on what you're doing, and what your business model is, I guess.
It's also inconsistent, right? You're not making the
Uh
same
huh.
amount of money from AdSense every single month. Like November,
Right.
December is always really good for us because companies are spending more on ads because it's Christmas, because it's the
Right.
holidays. And so that's a pretty good time for us. October, November, December are also when we get most of our views because a lot of the movies that come out during those months are the ones that our people really care about. The movies that are going to be the awards contenders, the buzzed about art house movies. So that is, although we post videos all year long, every week, all year long, some weeks, some months are more popular than others. And so, like
Mm-hmm.
January, for example, is kind of a dumping ground as far as new movies go. But then in March, we're going to have the Oscars, and we do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Oscar related content. And so, I think if you know that in your niche there are certain low times, maybe that's when you find other ways to monetize aside from the AdSense. It's because you're not going to necessarily get like $5,000 every month from AdSense. Like it's highs and
Yeah.
lows, it's peaks and valleys. Also, I have a newsletter. I forgot to mention that too. And I
Okay.
can put in the chat, I will put a link to it so folks can find it. And
Perfect.
so that is free. My newsletter is always free. It's called Saturday Matinee. I know some people like to monetize their newsletters through like Substack, for example. I just put a link to it right there. Hopefully, folks can see it in the chat. My newsletter is free, but it will link to like our Patreon, or it will link to companies that we work with. So that's another way to, and also I run ads on my newsletter. So it's all
Okay.
little
Cool.
piecing it together.
So, I mean, you sound busy to me. Like you've
I
got a lot of
am.
moving parts here. Luckily, there's two of you working at this. But yeah, I assume it's like a full time thing. Like how many hours in a week would you say you spend on all of this?
That's a really good question. And some weeks are busier than others. Some weeks where there are a lot of big movies coming out are more than others. Some weeks we are doing like three TV shows at the same time for our Patreon. It's funny, the type A Virgo in me didn't realize how much it was that I was doing every week. And I thought, oh, this is just normal. This is how everybody is. Until I started the newsletter and I would like start listing, okay, here are all the things I did this week. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I do really work a lot. I think if you love it, it's important. Like if you're choosing your niche, if you're choosing to launch a YouTube channel, you better love the thing that you're talking about. You better
Yeah.
love the thing that you're writing about. You better love the thing that you are engaging with people about because otherwise you're going to be miserable. So thankfully, I have the privilege of writing and talking about the thing I love. I've always loved movies. They've always been there for me. They've always been a huge part of my life. And so I feel thankful that I have all these platforms in which to discuss the thing I love. But if it were about like, I don't know, gardening or baking or something that I am not good at, then that would be a real bummer. So I would say choose wisely. Yeah, every week is different. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. just naturally because I'm a
Yeah.
middle-aged lady and I'm responding to comments and looking at other newsletters. And after I see you, I'm going to do a live stream at noon, and then I'm going to see a movie tonight. And then tomorrow, Alonzo and I will do our best and worst of. So it's kind of constant. But something I think I was mentioning earlier is I'm going to really, really try in 2025 to not obsess about the numbers so much. I tend to
Okay.
have in my tabs, I tend to have like the YouTube analytics open. I tend to have Beehive, my newsletter analytics open. And I don't know that that's healthy. I don't know that it's healthy to be constantly monitoring like, oh, we gained a subscriber or I lost a subscriber and why. Like I think I need to maybe check that in the morning
Yeah.
and then like step away.
I think
So
that's
that will
super
be
smart.
gaining some time back. You ask about time. How do you
Yeah.
handle all of that? How do you not get obsessed with the numbers?
Um, I don't handle it very well because I do obsess over the numbers. I spend a lot of time at this. But like you say, if you're doing what you like to do,
Yeah.
then what's the problem? um, I love what I'm doing, and it's fun. Funny you should mention that. I usually have three YouTube tabs open. My YouTube Studio, I watch the graph, and then another one is the subscriber count and all this. I'm looking at it all the time, and I don't think it's healthy. I don't think I'll do it forever. Um, but and when I go for walks or go for a run or whatever, I always have my phone and I will check, the YouTube Studio app. And I know I probably shouldn't. In fact, somebody that I had on this show a month or so ago, Kevin Colby, I asked him how often he looks at his YouTube Studio app, and he says he doesn't. He deleted it off his phone. So he looks
That's
at
really
it in the
smart.
morning. Yeah.
How does he make shorts?
I don't know. I don't think he does. If I
Uh-huh.
recall, he doesn't at all. So no, he's just in
Yeah.
his studio and he makes long form content. And he's chosen to get rid of not just the YouTube Studio app on his phone, but most social media, except for family and friends that can contact him. But he's just gotten rid of it altogether. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I could do that. I don't love all social media, but I don't think I'm in a
Yeah.
position where I can actually just totally get rid of it.
So what are you afraid of? If you delete these things, what are you afraid will happen?
Oh, I don't know that I've put that much thought into it. It's a lot of it's probably habit, quite honestly.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
to see what's going on when I take a break, right? I'll open up Facebook or Instagram or whatever. But the YouTube Studio app, I'm just always interested. If I'm putting out a video and it's uploading, I know it's going to go off at 10 o'clock. I'll go out for a 5K run or whatever, and when I'm finished, that's just habit. I open it up. Oh, how's it doing? Right? It's just
Yeah.
something I'm always looking at. And also, with the YouTube Studio app, I do like the ability to answer comments on my phone wherever I am.
Right.
So I do that as well. Try to stay on top of it. I'm trying to answer every comment. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to do that forever, but for now, I'm able to.
I tried playing whack-a-mole with the comments and it got harder. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the level that you have exploded in terms of growth, I'm guessing it is really hard for you as well. I try to get to as many as I possibly can,
Yeah.
but I think with that it's like quality over quantity. Somebody actually called me out on it, like when it was in a kind way, but like it was a really astute observation of, you know, it seems like you're responding to every single comment in a way that is generic, and it would probably track better for you if you responded to fewer but in a more meaningful way.
Okay.
And
That's interesting.
that resonated with me for sure. Cause like I was probably saying like, thanks for watching. And I mean that, thanks for watching. I mean that sincerely. But if you
Yeah.
say, this movie's great or thanks for watching, like over and over again, it seems like a bot is doing it.
Yes. Yes. Very good. I'm just going to take another quick look at the live chat here. We've gone over our hour. I hope that's okay. Um,
It is because the thing I had at 11 has gotten pushed. So I just have a thing at noon now. So I'm loving that so many folks are sticking around. So thanks for being here.
yeah, no, that's great. We've got over 50 people still here. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Um, Riat Kiona, I did not say that right. I know I didn't. Puerto Rico. Rob, are you using your AirPods as a microphone or just as a headset? Just as a headset now, but when we started this live stream, I was mistakenly using them as my microphone too, and I did not sound as good as I believe I sound now because I'm using my
Hmm.
shotgun mic up here now. So yeah, I'm just listening to the audio here. Um, and I don't usually have to. I understand why people usually have headphones in when they're doing live streams. It's because you have to turn your speakers down. Otherwise, the sound from your speakers can get into your microphone and then there's feedback and it doesn't sound good at all. But what I find with this shotgun mic, if my volume is low enough from the speakers, which are behind, they don't get into the mic anyways. So I can still
Mm.
listen through the speakers. And I don't always need these. But yeah, sometimes I'll put them in and then all of it, I won't notice that these have taken over my microphone, and I have to be cognizant of that and switch that back. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Our friend in Puerto Rico also asks, are you thinking about the video while you're running or do you focus on the run? I'm also a runner.
Okay.
And I find that I need that to clear my mind. And that maybe clarity will come in time with the run, but I'm not thinking about the video on the run. But I love
Yeah.
those walk and talks that you do in Nova Scotia because where you live
Yeah.
is crazy beautiful. And that's a fun way to interact with your audience. I think those are really cool.
Yeah. No, they're fun to do too. It's just, I think it's really important to make videos where you're comfortable. And that I think that's different for everybody. So you out there, if you're considering starting to make videos and you're not sure how to get started, you can try different things. I will sit in this chair behind me and kind of lean into the camera and talk to it as if I'm talking to a friend. Or I'll go for a walk and I may have a cue card with me to remind myself what I want to talk about and so that I don't miss any points. But I just find, for me, that's comfortable. For others, they may want to stand. They might feel more comfortable standing. So yeah, it's whatever makes you comfortable. For me, I don't actually think about videos when I run. I usually have, back in the day, I would listen to upbeat music to try to keep me motivated so I can keep going. But now, honestly, I put on like a lo-fi, chill, relaxing music that is by nobody. It's probably bot made, I don't know, AI or whatever. And yeah, just something, just relax, and my mind just wanders when I run. So it's my way to get away, I guess. And then when I'm finished
Um,
running, then I'll look at my studio.
yes, we have a question. Brother Jama Jahid says, "What's Christy's YouTube channel?" I couldn't find it. It's at Be Fast All Day, and I just put it in the comments. I think if you're looking at the chat, I think if you hover
Yep.
over me, you can see my channel. So
Yes, and
thanks.
also in the description below this live stream, I've got a link to your
Cool,
Be Fast All Day channel, so you should be able to click that, and that'll take you right
cool,
there.
cool.
Perfect. So yeah, we just answered that question. Todd Moore says they always say that negative news sells more than positive news. We should be the people that
Huh.
F
I
that
think he means
trend.
buck. He means
Yes,
buck
that's what
with
he
a
means.
B.
Because I think people are sick of all the negativity. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a weird time that we live in, isn't it? I mean, I'm in Canada. You're in the United States. You're kind of in the thick of it for the last several years with politics and all that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's. I feel like, especially with social media and comment sections of whatever we're talking about, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, people are just very comfortable saying whatever they want to say. And I feel like people aren't being who they normally would be if they were talking face to face with somebody. Do you get that
Right.
feeling as well, or?
Yes, and that goes back to the thing with the comment section that people think they can just be like cruel in the anonymity of the ether.
Yeah,
And then when an actual human being responds, it's like, whoa, it's startling. There's an actual person on the other end of this. And so, yeah, I think trying to put, it sounds so Pollyanna-ish, but like trying to put positivity out there is meaningful in our increasingly polarized world. And like, we can only do so much within our own little community to, try to make the world a better place. My son's 15. I tell him this all the time. Like he feels
yeah,
frustrated about the state of politics and blah, blah, blah. Like fix your environment, like be kind to other people, like hold the door open, like volunteer at the library. Like we live in Palos Verdes, which is a beautiful place. It's very hilly, great views, but like a lot of it is very outdoorsy, like where you live. Like we volunteer with them. So I think like putting decency out in the world in your own personal way, maybe it sounds Pollyanna-ish, but like maybe there's a ripple effect to that.
I love it. I think that's great. Kindness, be kind. I've made videos on this too, right? I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in that kind of thing. And yeah, all we can do is what we can do. We can't control other people. And but the more people do good, maybe that'll catch on, and maybe this is just a weird time, and we're all going to get over it.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
Well, I think I'm just going to quickly scan the rest to see if there were any other questions. Oh, how important is a microphone? Are the ones in an iPhone or a set of AirPods insufficient? Um, Interesting you should ask
Yes.
that, because if you listen back to this, I started off, my voice sounded apparently a little muddier than it does now. I was talking through these. I didn't realize it, so I have since switched back to this. Uh, Microphones, I believe, are important. The one in your iPhone, so you can let me know what you think, but when I've made videos outside and just used my iPhone's mic, the wind, it picks up wind noise very easily if there's any wind at all, or even if if you move quickly, it'll pick up wind noise. So when I make videos outside, I use a different mic. I use a DJI wireless mic. But if I'm inside, the mic of the iPhone, it's not that bad. And you can always modify how it sounds if you edit the audio in a program like Audition or Audacity or something like that afterwards. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on the mic and the quality and all that?
I do think it matters. We touched on this a little bit at the top of the live stream, like that people will keep watching if the audio is great, but the video is, so-so, but they will tune away if the audio is terrible. It's like it's
Yeah.
alienating, it's distancing.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And yes, Bruce Coburn is how you pronounce that, and I love him too. He's great. The Bob Dylan of Canada. Bob Dylan's good too. I want to see that movie. That's a new movie.
so good. It's
Is it
so
good?
good. Timothy Chalamet is awesome. Yeah, he's doing all his own singing and playing the guitar. He's great. Prior to last night, I thought he's going to win the Oscar for sure, but maybe not so much now. But he's really, really good in it.
I was surprised. My daughter told me that he did all the singing in that movie. I was
Yep.
shocked. Wow, interesting.
Yep.
Um, let's see.
We should
I
dash
think
soon if you don't mind.
what's that?
Do you mind if we should dash soon if you don't mind? Just because I got a thing at noon to get ready
Yeah,
for.
no,
So
no problem. Yeah, no, I've gotten to the end of the live chat. Listen, Christy, this has been awesome. Thank you very much for doing this. I hope everybody got a lot of value out of this. You had a lot of great information to share. Any final words you want to share with the audience before we dash?
yeah, no, I thank you so much, Rob, for having me. I'm such a fan of your channel and what you're doing, and your growth is so impressive. So you're doing something right, clearly. So thank you for finding this niche or niche or however you want to pronounce it. You're doing great, and thanks to your lovely audience for all the good questions. Yeah, I would say just do it. Just start before you're ready. Just give it a chance, and don't be afraid. Have fun with it.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you very much, Christy. And thanks everybody for tuning in today. And we'll see you next time in another video. All right, guys. Take care.